let's talk for a few minutes about how to create opportunities to share Jesus with others just in daily life. I'm talking about sharing Jesus in a way that doesn't feel awkward or off the wall or strange or abrupt. One day I went to a friend of mine's house and I knew that he didn't know Jesus and I wanted to share Jesus with him. Now I was a teenager and I was really young in ministry, and I went to his house and I took my Sunday school teacher with me, and he opened the door and first thing that came out of my mouth was, "Hey, if you died today, would you go to heaven?" And I'm telling you, it scared him to death. In fact, he even told me, he said, "Man," he said, "I didn't know if you were joking or if you were going to kill me." He said, "I didn't know if it was a threat." He literally took a step backwards. And I remember as we walked to the car, my Sunday school teacher leaned over very gently. He was a wise man, leaned over and said, "Hey, Colby, I think there might be some more subtle, easier ways to introduce a conversation about Jesus." And he was exactly right. And here's some of the things that we've learned. Now, I think the easiest way to create an opportunity is simply to ask the question, can I tell you about the greatest thing that ever happened to me? Whether it's a friend and you're eating lunch together, or a student in the school cafeteria, or a friend at a sleepover, or a work associate. It's real simple. Choose a time where you know you're going to be able to have a brief conversation. Don't choose a time, like if a student in school would not want to choose a time while the teacher's teaching to ask that question. So choose the appropriate time, but simply, can I tell you about the greatest thing that ever happened to me? And then if they say yes, share your salvation story. And if they say no, it means it's probably a bad time anyway. And so there's probably a better time. And so look for a better opportunity when you can do that. Now, some other opportunities are things such as, is there something going on in this person's life that might be making them think about spiritual matters? Did heaven or hell or God or Jesus just come up in a conversation? Did somebody just use God's name in vain? And you can kindly explain to them how important that name is to you. Now, there's a good way to do that. When I'm around people and they're cussing, I ask them to stop, just out of kindness. And so I might say, "Excuse me, please don't say that. Please don't use God's name in vain, because He saved me, He changed my life. In fact, can I tell you about that?" And if they say yes, they say no. Remember, somebody rejecting you, it feels very personal. And honestly, I take it personally. It's hard not to take it personally, but it's not a rejection of me. It's a rejection against the truth. And that's part of being a faithful witness. So don't shy away from opportunities just because you think a person may not want to listen. But at the same time, don't close doors. You don't want to be abrupt and harsh, and you don't want to shove the gospel down people's throats or to try to scare people into coming to Christ. Because what that does, that closes doors. It doesn't open doors. We're talking about creating opportunities, not closing opportunities. And so a few other ways that you might approach is when you see somebody that's hurting and you know that there's a need in their life, talk to them about spiritual matters. Ask if you can pray for them. And then after praying for them, ask if you can share with them about what Jesus means to you. There's so many ways that you can create doors, opportunities, questions you can ask, such as you can ask, "Hey, can I ask you a really hard question? If you were to die right now, do you know for sure that you'd go to heaven?" Or, in your opinion, what does it take for a person to go to heaven? Or if you were to stand before God right now and He were to look at you and say, "Why should I let you into heaven? Why should I let you into my kingdom?" What would you say? So in other words, the point of this is simply to say, don't stress out over trying to manipulate opening doors. Just be casual, be honest, be open, but also don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid when you see those opportunities, situations, somebody says something, a conversation begins. Don't be afraid to step into those situations because you carry the truth. Don't be afraid to create the doors where you can share Jesus with other people.